Hey there. It is 5:48 p.m. February 19th, 2024. I'm doing back-to-back episodes because I want to talk about childhood pets and growing up and experiencing loss at a young age through those pets because it's not easy, especially when you're young and haven't had to deal with that kind of stuff ever. Okay, I'm gonna do this just to actually do I don't know what I'm doing. So, sorry. Welcome back anyways. Here and again for another episode of whatever I name this series. I can't. MineCapsule. Yeah, that. I don't know if I'm going to actually keep that name. More so just a placeholder. I don't know if I'll be able to think of anything better. But obviously it's a play on words of Minecraft, time capsule, because that's kind of the vibe for this series. Is just, I want to be able to look back at this years later and just kind of relive memories, and also a lot of the stuff I'm going to be talking about is, about memories. So I felt like it fit, but I don't know. At the same time, I don't know if I like it. Either way, though, pets, gotta love them. Got one of these bad boys right up here. He's just vibing, but unfortunately, he's not real. And, if he were to die right now, I'd be pretty sad, but I'd get over it. However, in real life, it's not that easy. And it's something that can be really hard to talk about. And I have maybe experienced it a little bit more with pets than some others. And maybe partially due to my fault with a couple, which I'll get into. But I got pretty unlucky as a kid with some of my pets ending up passing away early due to health complications that we just did not see coming. And it sucks. It certainly does. But life happens, and you gotta just accept that at some point. So the first real pets that I can remember having were we had a dog and a cat. The dog's name was Blue, and the cat's name was Periwinkle. They were, oh shit, I think I went too far down. They were named after Blue's Clues, of course, the classic show. Me and my sister absolutely adored Blue's Clues growing up. And yeah, we had a dog named Blue who I don't really remember what breed he was. I've never been good with dog breeds, but he was super chill, super nice. He had that sort of like bluish grayish fur with a little bit of like tan, like medium length hair. And I really liked him. But then I just realized I've had this fucking iron on me, and I was need that shit. And we ended up getting rid of him. Sounds wrong, but my parents put him back up for adoption because my sister and I were not very good at taking care of a dog. So that ended pretty quick. However, our cat Periwinkle ended up living for, I think it was around 18, maybe 19 years. She was around the same age as me growing up, which is really fucking bizarre to think about. Like, when I had turned, I want to say 19 or 20, I think she was 18 at the time. It was definitely a weird experience having a cat that kind of grew up with you. She was a little bit of a bitch. I feel like in every family, you'll have those pets that are very much bonded more with one family member more than all the others. And for Periwinkle, it was my sister. She was, for lack of a better word, my sister's cat. And she absolutely despised everyone else in my family. It was actually really funny, but no, it was only up until maybe when she was like 17-ish when she started warming up to everyone else, because at that point she was old and she was just kind of like, I want attention from anyone that will give it to me. And she became a lot sweeter. She had trouble seeing at that point, so she was just wanting attention. And growing up, she did not like me. And eventually we got a second cat. We were at a pumpkin patch when I was young. This was maybe 2 or 3 years after. I want to say 3 years after. We got Periwinkle. We got a black cat, black silver striped cat, that my dad named Pumpkin with an N instead of a MP, because we found her at the pumpkin patch, and she was up for adoption. So ended up going home with a new friend that day, and she ended up forming a very large bond with my dad, to the point where, you know, for most of the time that we had her, my mom would refer to Pumpkin as my dad's girlfriend, because she was like inseparable from him. And again, she didn't really much care for anyone else in the family other than my dad, which was kind of funny, having 2 cats that kind of didn't give a shit about most of us. It kind of sucked though. I wanted a cat that was my own, so inevitably we went to an animal shelter at one point, and we're looking at cats, and I ended up picking out a I think it was like an orange, she was more yellowish than orange, but another striped tabby, that I named Peaches, which was maybe not my most creative name, but I thought it was cute. And she ended up bonding with me, and I mean, she loved everyone in the family. She was a sweet, sweet cat, but for the most part, she was, you know, my cat, so to speak. And I have these memories. I had a big bunk bed at the time, like a wooden, real solid bunk bed, and the bottom part of it was like a desk that had like a pull-out, you know, like table space that you could use, and also there was like a pull-out bed portion of it that I would occasionally sleep on, but for the most part, I slept on the top bunk. And the only way to get up to the top bunk was a vertical, like, wooden ladder. And Peaches would somehow climb up the ladder most nights just to lay in bed with me, which was the absolute sweetest thing I think any pet has ever done for me. I really don't know how she did it, but she did. Gotta respect the hustle. I'm actually gonna get more cobble, make more furnaces. So she was super sweet, and at one point, I remember waking up, and I kind of realized, just, I don't know how long it had been, but I realized that it had been a while since I had seen her around the house. And I was really confused, so I went and I talked to my parents, and I was like, have you guys seen Peaches anywhere? And they were like, no, we actually haven't seen her in a little bit. And I kind of got that sinking feeling of like, oh shit, what's going on here? And I remember searching all day, like in the basement, every nook and cranny I could find. I searched around outside in the yard and like the streets around it, and never found her. That was pretty much the end of that. Or at least it would have been the end of that if it weren't for about a year ago. I think around Christmas or New Year's of 2022. Or maybe it was last year. I don't know. It's been a little bit. My parents told me apparently Peaches had a really bad flea problem and they couldn't get it to go away, so they just put her back up for adoption and didn't tell me that. So that was definitely one of those moments of I don't know why they did it. I definitely would have preferred them just telling me that they did it after the fact instead of, letting me believe for the longest time that she was just gone. And, who knows? Maybe she could have gotten killed on the road by a car, or maybe some other family found her, and that's kind of what I had always hoped, was that another family had found her and taken her in. But I mean, in the end, I didn't know until they told me, and I was a little bit betrayed for sure, but at the same time it was kind of nice to know that at the very least she probably lived the rest of her life in a pretty solid home, I would hope. Maybe not. Maybe things don't go that well. But that's what I'd like to believe. But I was pretty devastated at the time as a kid, losing essentially my best friend at the time. And I didn't really know what to do. So, I wanted another cat. And after a little while, my parents agreed to let me adopt another one. And so I found this adorable little kitten, a little black kitten, who I named Velcro, because the first time I picked him up, he just stuck to my shirt, like, completely. So I was like, I think my dad might have mentioned, like, something about Velcro, and I was like, hey, that's a good name. And so that's kind of where that name came from. And he was only a couple weeks old, I think, when we adopted him. And I was obsessed. At that point, I had never taken care of a kitten by myself, or at least, primarily by myself. My parents definitely helped, but for the most part, he was my responsibility, because that was kind of the agreement that we would adopt the cat and I would take care of him, and if I couldn't take care of him well enough, I would have to take him back. And I did my very best to take care of him, and I feel like I did a pretty dang good job. However, I want to say around 7-8 months later, we had to take him into the vet because he was acting a little strange, and it turned out he had a tumor, I believe, in his stomach that was inoperable. And that was probably the most difficult thing I had ever had to deal with up to that point. There's still some pictures that are on, I think, Facebook of me holding him in the vet's room and just, trying not to break down, which was really hard as a kid who couldn't, control my emotions very well. That was probably one of the moments that kind of changed me as a person. I don't want to say a defining moment because I don't want that moment to define me, but it was certainly a formative experience, I guess. And one that still I have a difficult time coming to terms with even today. But it was definitely a privilege to be able to raise him as long as I could, for sure. He was the sweetest little cat that you'd ever seen. And the only way I knew how to deal with it at the time was to adopt another cat. So I think it was around 6 months later-ish, around like May, I think. I think Velcro had passed away back in October. And around May, we went back to the same shelter where I adopted Velcro, and we adopted another tiny kitten. This one was a long-haired tuxedo, whom was a female, and we named her Liz Lemon after the character from 30 Rock, which I was a big fan of, that show. And I immediately was just obsessed with Liz. Super, super adorable cat. I love tuxedo cats. My cat Scoot right now is a tuxedo. Love that little man. Little big man. And I sort of had that feeling in the back of my mind growing up, like, I really hope this doesn't end the same way that it did with Velcro, but I want to try again, I want my cat, and I want to take good care of my cat and give them the best life. And so I adopted Liz, and we went to get Liz spayed, and as it turns out, had to get Liz neutered. Was actually a dude, and the people at the shelter just didn't do that right. I don't know how, but it was wrong. So I had this sort of panic moment. I was like, I was a kid. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was like, well, we can't keep the name Liz. That's a girl's name. And so, Diamond. Eventually, my parents were just like, just keep the name. It's fine. You don't need to worry about it. And so we kept Liz as Liz, and eventually he kind of adopted the nickname Lizard, and he was just the absolute most, like, sweet cat. He had not a single, like, bad bone in his body. He never, like, attacked anything or anyone. He was just constantly just the sweetest dude that had ever existed, and probably ever will exist, in my opinion. Oops. I fucking love that guy. Sadly, he is gone. He lived a much longer time than Velcro, which was all I could ask for at the time. He passed away in around 2019. I think he was around 8 or 9 years old. And he had to be put down because he had a liver failure, I believe. And we couldn't do anything about it. And that was, I think, at that point, the moment in which I felt like I needed a break from pets, because I had experienced a lot of grief, and essentially all three of the pets, all three of the cats that I had grown the biggest bond with, were gone from my life in ways that I could not have seen coming. And that really, really affected me. Because the other cats that we had essentially just, gone of old age. Like Periwinkle lived to be about 18. Pumpkin as well, about 18. She just passed away last year, which was, I don't know. I hadn't seen Pumpkin around as much since I had moved out, of course, and she was mainly my dad's cat, but it's always weird knowing that someone in your life, whether it be a person or a pet, is just gone. Someone who had been a constant in your life growing up is just gone. It's always weird. Regardless, though, I felt like extremely unlucky that the pets that I had grown close to the most always had the most problems. And I think that kind of jaded me for a little while, up until the point where I moved out, was on my own for a while, and I realized I need I need a little cat roaming around for my own mental health, because they're just the best. I don't know. I like dogs too, but cats are very low maintenance, and I am not someone that can deal with constantly having to like take a dog out to, go shit and walk. So cats are just right for me. And yeah, after Liz passed away, I took a little bit of a break from being a cat owner because I could not deal with that. And it was only up until, like I said, after I moved out, I think it was 2022 in February. It was right before I met my girlfriend, actually, was when I adopted Scoot. That was the first time I had ever actually personally adopted a cat on my own. Because obviously with the other cats, it was my parents technically that had adopted them, and I just was the one that picked them out. So that was a new experience, and one that was occasionally a little stressful, but my mom was extremely sweet. She ordered me a bunch of stuff at Target for me to go pick up, like a litter box and a big thing of litter and some cat food and whatnot, and a litter genie too, which is really helpful. If you don't know what that is, it's essentially just like this big sort of square tube-esque thing that is almost like a mini litter box, where like you'll scoop from the litter box and put the shit and piss into the litter genie, which has like a bag in it that's like scent reductive, whatever the fuck you say. And it's just so you don't have to like constantly be using plastic bags and tossing those out every day. It's just you scoop it into the litter genie, and once it gets full, you take the bag out, throw it away, replace it. Just, my mom was extremely helpful, always is. My parents are fantastic people, and I would not be nearly as fortunate in my current life if it weren't for their help. But I have 2 cats now. One I adopted on my own, Scoot, and the other was actually my sister's cat, who they adopted at I don't remember where they actually got her, because I know was it at an Amish town? I can't remember it, because I know they have their cat Coco's from an Amish town, but they gave me Maeve, who is another little black kitten, and she did not at all get along with one of their other cats, and so it got to the point where Maeve was like pissing and shitting all over the place because their other cat Baby was scaring her half to death. And yeah, I think Maeve ended up scratching Baby really bad, and at that point they were kind of like, okay, I don't think this is gonna work out. So they were like, hey, do you want to do like a little trial run and keep Maeve for a little bit, see if her and Scoot get along? And we did that. I genuinely did think that Scoot was going to not like Maeve at all, and vice versa, but after a little bit they definitely warmed up to each other. And even though Scoot is a little bit of a menace at times and will fuck around with Maeve far more than she would like, they get along really well. They cuddle, they do cute shit, and so it worked out really well in the end. And she's I think just over 1 year old now. She has, I don't know her birthday. I don't know either of their like actual birthdays, but I know their birth months. Scoot is February and Maeve is August, which is actually the same month as me. So we're kind of bros that way. And funnily enough, kind of the opposite of what I thought was going to happen ended up happening. Scoot is basically a mama's boy, and he loves my girlfriend so much. He is just the weirdest fucking guy ever, and he's formed such a close bond with my girlfriend that I really don't think he's my cat anymore. And Maeve ended up kind of becoming my child, which, you know, like I said, it was not how I had pictured things going. But sometimes life just does some wacky things, and you just gotta roll with it. And so now we have these two wonderful little demons that love to break into the cabinet and get in their food when they shouldn't. Love to scream at us every day for food, even though we feed them at the same time every day. And generally just love being little assholes. But I love them. Can't hate those fuckers, even when I do hate them. I always go back to loving them. Oh, dear fucking lord! Anyways. Those are most of the pets that I've had. I had some other pets here and there. Had a snake at one point. Went on vacation. I had one of my dad's friends watching my snake, and he escaped his cage, got stuck to some tape, and then starved to death. So that was the end of that. Me and my sister had mice at one point. I had a brown one, I think. She had a white one. Mine was named Chocolate. Very original. And she named her mouse Sunshine Rainbow Sprinkles, I believe. Which, weird name. Creative. I'll give her that for sure. So that was a thing that happened. I need to find... I don't know where the hell my strip mine was. I gotta look for that. The only other pet that I can actually remember is I had a guinea pig named Rascal, who... I actually have a little framed picture of a drawing I did of Rascal when I was younger, and it has, like, you know, this is where I got him, this is his name, this is his birthday, all that stuff. So that's kind of a relic that I still have. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all of the pet lore that I have to share. It's more of a blessing than a curse, but obviously losing pets is never an easy ordeal. So sometimes it can feel a little bit like a curse when you lose a pet that's very close to you. But I wouldn't change it for the world, because I know even when my cats absolutely drive me insane, I know I'm always going to need to have a cat or two around the house. Or 3. I'd love to get another cat soon, but where we live right now, we are technically already over the pet limit, so can't really do much there. Okay, I think I'm gonna try and get back to the house, and then we'll call it there. Now the issue is I don't know where the tunnel is. Oh dear Lord, I am lost. Genuinely. Where did I come from? I think it's right here. No, it's not. That's just cobble from the lava and water. God damn. Yeah, if you guys have any little pet stories you want to share, I'd definitely love to hear about it. So feel free to comment. Regardless of how depressing it is, you know, I'm here for it. I just love talking about my pets that I've had because I don't want to forget about them, even though it's sometimes very hard to remember because it's obviously pretty sad stuff, and it hurts to think about, especially the ones that ended way sooner than they should have. But that's life. You always got to deal with loss at some point. So everything good must come to an end. And everything bad will eventually come to an end too. So just keep that in mind. I'm actually lost. I don't know where the fuck my tunnel went. Fuck, man. I might just cut it here and get back to my house. Alright. Finally made it out after some real tests of strength and courage. We're home. Let me toss some stuff in here. I think I'm gonna put cobble downstairs. I can put all this stuff there. Cool. Alright. Let's get some ores smelting, and then we'll call it a day, I think. I'm just gonna go ahead and eat some raw meat. Fill myself up. And is it 60? Yeah. Perfect. Alright. Wrong place. I've always been someone who likes to perfectly ration out all of my smelting. I don't know why, it's just really satisfying. Alrighty. Well, I think that'll do it for this episode. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you got something out of it, and hope to hear from you guys. So have a great day.